My name is Altha Hale, 26 years old. The morning started like any other. My alarm buzzed against the cracked screen of my phone, blue light filling the bedroom I swore I would never sleep in again. This house was supposed to be temporary while I got back on my feet. Instead, it felt like a place people disappeared in. My phone wasn't just a phone, it was my resume, my inbox, my list of job applications, and rejected interviews. Every notification was a maybe. Down the hall, a cabinet slammed. My mother's footsteps crossed the kitchen in short, sharp beats. A moment later, her voice cut through the air. Altha, come here. I slid out of bed, the phone still in my hand, and walked past the hallway of smiling family photos. In the kitchen, Mom leaned against the counter, scrolling on her phone. The TV murmured. My sister Jenna sat at the table in a pink robe, sipping juice. Sit, Mom said. I stayed standing. She flicked a glance at me, then slipped into her fake bright voice. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments from where you are watching this video. The brightness vanished. Jenna's friends are planning a weekend brunch in Chicago. She needs some extra cash for the trip. I frowned. Okay, I said carefully. Mom's eyes sharpened. You've got that iPhone, she said. You can sell it and give her the money. For a second, I thought she was joking. What? Mom, this phone is how I apply for work. It's how I get interviews. I can't just... Don't talk back, she snapped. Your sister's been stressed. She deserves a break. You're home all day. What do you need a phone for? Jenna barely looked up. It's not like she's going to get hired anywhere, she said. Who wants a dropout with a resume full of rejections? Heat crawled up my throat. I didn't drop out, I said quietly. I couldn't afford tuition anymore because you stopped paying halfway through. Mom slammed her hand on the counter. Don't you start your pity act, she hissed. We fed you. We let you live under our roof after you failed. The least you can do is give something back to your family. My phone isn't something I can give back, I said, taking a step back. I need it. Her eyes went dark. You ungrateful brat. She lunged. Her fingers clamped around my wrist, nails digging into my skin as she ripped the phone from my hand. She turned the phone over, then lifted her gaze to mine. So you'd rather keep this piece of metal than help your sister? She asked softly. You think you're better than her because you're desperate? Jenna giggled. Mom, don't waste your energy. She'll never change. Mom's voice went flat. You think the world owes you, Altha. You think people care about your effort. Newsflash. Nobody does. You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. I opened my mouth to answer. The phone came down hard against my mouth. Pain exploded. My teeth crashed together. I tasted blood. I stumbled backward, hand flying to my face. My phone smashed against the tile, the screen shattering into glittering fragments. For a second, I saw my reflection in one jagged shard. Wide eyes, lips already swelling. Behind me, Jenna laughed. Guess that's what ambition gets you, she whispered. Mom looked down at me, calm. Next time I ask for something, she said, you don't argue, you don't talk, you obey. That's how you survive here. She turned away. As she passed the sideboard, she pulled open the middle drawer just enough to slide an envelope inside, then shut it quickly and checked it with her fingers. Jenna bent, picked up my ruined phone, turned it under the light, then tossed it into the trash. It was old anyway, she said. I stayed on the floor until the throbbing in my lip matched my heartbeat. That night, after the TV went off and the house fell silent, I crept back into the kitchen. I lifted the trash lid and dug through crumpled paper towels until I found the broken pieces of my phone. Glass bit into my fingertips. I rinsed the parts in the sink, set them on a towel, and carried them back to my room. On my desk, under the lamp, the pieces looked like a puzzle someone had tried to smash out of existence. The screen was gone. The case was cracked. But the board, the ports, the core of it, that was still there. In the days after, the house moved on like nothing had happened. Mom hummed in the kitchen. Jenna talked about outfits and hotel rooms. No one mentioned the bruise under my mouth. They joked that I was moody, that I needed toughening up. I answered when forced. Otherwise, I stayed quiet. At night, I pulled an old laptop from the back of my closet. I watched videos on phone repair, read comments, made lists. I ordered used parts with the little money I had left from odd jobs. When the packages arrived, Mom raised an eyebrow once. What's all this? She asked. Cheap junk, I said, for a project. She stared for a second, then shrugged and walked away. But each time she crossed the dining room, her hand brushed that middle drawer where the envelope waited. While the house slept, I worked. Tiny screws, careful connections, the soft scrape of metal. My fingers grew sure. Anger cooled into focus. It stopped being about getting my phone back. It became about proving they couldn't break everything. On the fourth night, the screen flickered to life. It wasn't perfect. A thin black line ran down the center, but it glowed. It connected to Wi-Fi and opened my email. In the hallway, a floorboard creaked. I switched off the lamp and listened. Through the wall, I heard Mom's voice, low and tense, on the phone. "I know," she whispered. "I'll get the money. She doesn't have anywhere else to go. She'll do what I say. She always does." I looked down at my rebuilt phone, at the faint reflection of my bruised lip in the dark screen, and understood something simple and sharp. She was counting on me having nowhere. She was wrong. I wasn't going to stay here and prove her right again. I was going to leave. And the next time I walked out of this house, I promised myself I wouldn't be coming back as their burden, their servant, or their punching bag ever again. I didn't announce my plan. I didn't slam doors or make speeches. I simply shifted into silence. Real silence. The kind that makes manipulators uneasy. The next morning, I slipped into the kitchen quietly. Mom and Jenna were already arguing about a dress Jenna wanted, but claimed she physically couldn't live without. Neither of them noticed me. My lip still ached, the swelling fading into a faint, ugly bruise. When Mom finally glanced up, her eyes flicked over it without a pause, as if pain on my face was wallpaper she'd grown used to. The silence made her frown. "What's wrong with you now?" she asked. "Nothing," I murmured. Jenna laughed softly. "She's just embarrassed she got herself hit." The word hit hung in the air like something sour. I saw the quick glance Mom gave her. A small, cold warning not to label it wrong, not to call it what it was. I washed my cup and went back to my room without another word. For the next 2 weeks, I lived like a ghost. I woke up early, slipped out for shifts at the cafe, came home late, and avoided every emotional landmine in that house. I rebuilt my schedule the way I rebuilt my phone, piece by piece, carefully, quietly. Mom didn't like it. Manipulators don't handle quiet well. They need reactions. Fear, apologies, the proof that their control is still intact. She started asking questions. "Who are you texting all night? Why are you getting home so late? Are you hiding something?" Once she stood in my doorway with her arms crossed. "If you're doing drugs, I swear." I looked up from the phone I was repairing, eyebrows flat. "I'm not." She studied me, searching my face for guilt, but she found nothing, because I had finally stopped giving it to her. In those days, the house changed in small but telling ways. I overheard hushed calls Mom immediately hung up when I entered the room. Jenna argued with someone about a credit card bill. The envelope in the drawer grew thicker, and at night, through the thin walls, I heard Mom crying once. Not openly, but muffled and fast, like someone trying not to be heard. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't want to. My priority was getting out. So I saved every tip, every spare dollar. I ate cheap meals at work. I walked instead of taking buses. I stored my savings in a shoebox under my mattress, not because I thought Mom would steal it, but because I knew she would. By day 11, I had almost enough for a deposit on a tiny studio I'd seen listed on a worn-out flyer. The building was old, the hallway smelled like carpet cleaning spray, and the landlord barely spoke English. But he didn't care about background checks or family references. He only asked, "You move soon?" "As soon as I can," I said. He gave a tired nod. "You want it? It's yours." That night, I packed quietly, folding clothes into a duffel I bought at a thrift store. I packed only necessities, a few t-shirts, jeans, my laptop, the newly rebuilt phone, and a box of tools I'd collected. The house was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. When I approached the door with my bag, Mom stepped into the hallway with uncanny timing, like she'd been waiting. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked. "Out," I said simply. "Out where?" "I found a place." Her expression tightened. "Oh, so now you're grown? You think you can just leave after everything we did for you?" "Everything." The word pulsed in the space between us. "You mean the beatings?" I said softly. "The insults? The way you made me bleed because I wouldn't sell my phone for Jenna's brunch?" Her nostrils flared. "Don't twist the story, Altha." "You mean don't tell it truthfully?" I said. "You brought that on yourself," she said. "You were selfish." I stepped around her. "So were you." From the living room, Jenna groaned dramatically. "She'll be back in a week. She can't survive without being told what to do." I looked at her. "You're right. I won't survive here. That's why I'm leaving." And this time, walking out felt like stepping off a cliff and trusting I would land somewhere better. The first night alone in my studio was strangely quiet. The room was small, just a twin mattress, a lamp, and a window that didn't fully close. But the silence was warm, not cold, It held no judgment. It expected nothing from me. For the first time in years, I fell asleep without waiting for footsteps in the hallway. Days turned into weeks. I worked every shift I could get, learning new skills by night: cord replacements, soldering microchips, restoring water-damaged devices. I scoured forums, joined online repair groups, watched tutorials until my eyes burned. Then something unexpected happened. I got good. Customers began to request me by name. I upgraded from repairing phones on my mattress to a small table I bought for $10. I saved again and rented a corner booth at the weekend market, propping a cardboard sign that read, "Phone repair. Fast, affordable, reliable." People came, people paid, people trusted me. The irony wasn't lost on me. The girl whose phone was once smashed into her face now fixed phones for a living. By the second year, I had enough to lease a tiny storefront. I painted the walls myself, hung up shelving, and installed a glass counter I bought secondhand. When the neon sign arrived, glowing white and steady, I stood back and whispered the name I had chosen. Hail Repair and Tech. My name, my hands, my rebuild. Every piece of pain I'd ever been handed. I had turned into something. One rainy afternoon, as droplets streaked the windows and the shop smelled faintly of solder and lemon cleaner, the door opened. I didn't look up immediately. Customers came and went, but the sound of footsteps made me glance up. Two figures stood there. Mom and Jenna. Their eyes searched the room, mine the last. Mom's hair was grayer. Her shoulders seemed smaller. Jenna clutched a cracked phone, her expensive manicure chipped. For a moment, the past slammed into me. The kitchen, the smashed phone, the blood. But my heart didn't race. It stayed steady. "Altha," Mom said, her voice breaking. We need help." For a heartbeat, none of us moved. Mom stood just inside the doorway, dripping from the rain, clutching her purse like it contained the last pieces of her life. Jenna hovered behind her, trying and failing to look unaffected. For the first time in my life, they looked small, human, fragile in a way I had never seen. I set my screwdriver down slowly. "What do you need?" I asked, my voice steady. Mom swallowed, her hands trembling. "Your father left," she said. "The house. We lost it. And Jenna's phone isn't working. We didn't know where else to go." Jenna stepped forward, extending her cracked device. "Just fix it," she said, trying to sound superior, but her voice wavered. "It's important." Her fingers shook. The phone's screen was shattered straight down the middle. It looked eerily like mine had years ago. I took it and turned it over, running my thumb along the edge. "Sit," I said. They obeyed. Not because I commanded it, but because they were exhausted from whatever storm had chased them here. I walked to the counter and powered Jenna's phone on. Nothing. The motherboard was damaged. I would have to rebuild the storage, pull backups, patch corrupted files. Hours of work. It wasn't lost on me that this was exactly what I'd done for myself. As I worked, I could feel their eyes on me, Jenna fidgeting, Mom rubbing her palms together compulsively. "You own this place?" Jenna asked suddenly, unable to hold the silence. "I built this place," I answered without looking up. Mom let out a shaky breath. "Altha, honey, I didn't know you were capable of all this." I paused at her choice of words. Capable. As if I had somehow shocked her by not collapsing without her cruelty. "You never asked," I said. A long silence stretched between us. Then Mom spoke again, her voice barely audible. "We're sorry," she whispered. "You don't know what we've been through." I stopped working and raised my head. "And you don't know what I went through." The lights hummed overhead. Outside, the rain tapped lightly against the window. Jenna rolled her eyes but didn't speak. Her arrogance had softened, cracked in the same places as her phone. Mom tried again. "We were strict because we wanted you to be strong. We didn't want you to end up helpless." "You made me bleed for saying no," I said quietly. "You shattered my phone into my mouth to teach me strength?" Her jaw trembled. "Parents say things they don't mean. They do things out of anger. We weren't perfect." "No," I said, "you weren't." Jenna shifted in her seat. "You're being dramatic," she muttered. "It wasn't that bad." I set my tools down and stepped closer until she met my eyes. "Say that again," I said softly. Her mouth snapped shut. For a moment, everything stopped. The shop, the rain, even the lights seemed to hush as the reality of the moment sunk in. I wasn't the girl they once belittled. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't theirs to control. Mom broke the silence. We have nowhere else to go," she whispered. We lost everything, Altha. Debt, collectors, bills. Your father argued with me. Then one day he packed a bag and walked out. That wasn't part of the original story, but something deeper flickered in her eyes. Guilt. What happened? I asked. Her shoulders slumped. I pushed him too hard. Controlled everything. I didn't know how to stop. She took a shaky breath. Your sister was my whole world. You reminded me of him. Independent. Untouchable. I didn't know how to love you without trying to break you. Those words hit harder than any slap. Because they were honest. Because they hurt. Because they were the truth I had never been given. I said nothing, returning to the workbench. I soldered, patched, connected, rewired. Hours passed in measured breaths. Finally, the screen glowed faintly, then fully. It's done, I said. Jenna snatched it before I could hand it to her. Finally, she muttered. Something useful you did. But as soon as she touched the screen, her expression shifted. The phone lit up, and a slideshow began playing automatically. Photo after photo. Images I had backed up from her corrupted files. My face the night I bled on the kitchen floor. My tiny studio apartment, mattress on the ground. The broken pieces of my phone. The bruise under my lip. And then, one picture I hadn't expected to see. Mom, years younger, sitting alone on the stairs, crying with her face buried in her hands. I remembered that night. I had been a child. I had watched her quietly from the hallway, too afraid to ask what was wrong. She'd wiped her tears and snapped at me to go to bed. Jenna's voice was nearly a whisper. Why? Why did you put these on here? I didn't, I said. They were in your old backups. Memories you kept. Jenna's face paled. Mom stared at the picture of herself, her lips parted, a tremor running through her. I forgot that night existed, she whispered. Of course she had. Pain buried itself. But technology never forgot. Neither did I. I cleared my throat. Your phone is fixed, I said, sliding the device fully across the counter. That's all you came for. Mom stood abruptly. No, she said. We came because we have nowhere to go. We thought maybe you'd let us stay here, just for a while, until we get back on our feet. There it was. The request. The plea. The reversal of everything they'd ever told me. I walked slowly toward the front door. I unlocked it and pulled it open. The sound of rain drifted in, cool and clean. There's a shelter 2 blocks down, I said. They help people get back on their feet. Maybe they'll do what you never did for me. Mom's hand reached for my arm, shaking. Altha, she whispered, please. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Jenna scowled. You'll regret this. I gave a small, tired smile. Maybe, but at least tonight I'll sleep without hearing my own mother laugh while I bleed. Mom broke then, barely a sound, just a collapse inside her eyes. The last piece of her pride drifted away. They left slowly, stepping into the rain, sheltering themselves under a broken umbrella. Their silhouettes shrank down the sidewalk until the street swallowed them entirely. I stood there watching for a long time, not out of anger, not out of triumph, but out of grief for the family I had once hoped to belong to, and the woman I had become because they didn't let me. When I finally closed the door, the shop fell silent again, peaceful, mine. I caught my reflection in the glass, the faint scar still cutting across my bottom lip. Not a wound anymore, a reminder. Proof that sometimes survival is the loudest revenge.